Max Verstappen's future with Red Bull is in serious doubt, and Aston Martin looks ready to take advantage of this shifting situation. The team from Silverstone has struggled throughout this season, but their eyes are firmly set on 2026, with high hopes riding on the upcoming changes. Rumors suggest that offers have already been extended to the four-time world champion, and with Red Bull's recent struggles, particularly in Bahrain, it's hard to see Verstappen passing up such an attractive offer. Could Aston Martin really challenge the top teams with Max Verstappen at the wheel? And more intriguingly, will Lawrence Stroll, the team's owner, be willing to part ways with his son Lance Stroll to make room for Max? The drama surrounding Verstappen's future reached a boiling point this weekend after an intense meeting within Red Bull. Verstappen's manager expressed serious frustration over the car's performance, and the team held an emergency meeting to address the situation. However, this doesn't mean Verstappen is guaranteed a better car. In fact, there's a growing concern that the issues with the RB21 are fundamental and can't be fixed with a few upgrades. After the Bahrain Grand Prix, it became clear that Max Verstappen's camp was deeply disappointed with the current state of the car. Ted Kravitz reported that Verstappen's manager, Raymond Vermeulen, expressed his frustration directly to Helmut Marko. Vermeulen didn't hold back, letting Marko know exactly how he felt about the situation. It was described as a tense moment, with Marko taking the criticism without much response. After the meeting, Vermeulen left in a hurry, clearly upset. This public display of frustration indicates how serious the situation has become within the team. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's motorsport advisor, spoke about the possibility of Verstappen leaving the team. Marko acknowledged that the threat of Verstappen joining a rival team, like Mercedes or Aston Martin, is very real. He pointed out that improvements to the car must come quickly if Red Bull wants to keep Max satisfied. The team needs to deliver a car that will allow him to compete for championships again. Marko also mentioned the importance of getting all aspects of the car right, including something as basic as pit stops. If the car isn't fast enough and the pit stops are subpar, it's simply not acceptable. Verstappen's disappointment was further highlighted when he referred to the 2025 season as simply a participation in the World Championship. He admitted that McLaren is not his biggest rival this year, signaling just how detached he feels from the competition. What's even more telling is his neutral stance toward the entire situation with Red Bull, which suggests he might be considering other options for his future. Despite Red Bull securing points with both cars for the first time since Las Vegas 2024, Verstappen seemed unconvinced that the team can give him a championship-worthy car. When asked about his feelings on the current performance, Verstappen said, "I always try to do the best I can, even in frustrating situations. But you just have to move on. We know we have our problems, and even when you win a race, they don't go away." His attitude is calm, almost detached, as he acknowledged the team's issues but emphasized that he doesn't let them affect him too much. He seems resigned to the fact that the road ahead could be difficult, and while he keeps working hard, his focus is clearly shifting. This is where teams like Aston Martin come into play. The Silverstone-based squad has openly expressed interest in bringing Verstappen on board, with reports indicating that he's their top priority for the foreseeable future. Aston Martin is making moves to become a serious contender by hiring key figures like Adrian Newey and securing Honda as their engine supplier starting in 2026. This plan is clearly aimed at luring Verstappen to the team. The Dutchman is well aware of how pivotal Newey has been to Red Bull's success, and he may now see the potential in teaming up with him again at Aston Martin. Adding to the intrigue, Honda has made it clear that they want to be involved in Aston Martin's future, similar to their role with Red Bull. Honda's president, Koji Watanabe, expressed his hope that they would have the chance to work with Verstappen again. He highlighted the strong communication between Verstappen and Honda's engineers, which has fostered a great working relationship. Watanabe mentioned that Honda will continue to have input on the driver lineup, though ultimately it will be Aston Martin's decision. Verstappen himself hasn't ruled out the possibility of a future with Honda. He's cautious, though, as he pointed out that being young means he can't predict what the future holds. He made it clear that if a project starts to look unpromising, he won't hesitate to reconsider his commitment. Now the big question remains: who will make way for Verstappen at Aston Martin? The most logical candidate seems to be Fernando Alonso, given his age and recent comments suggesting that 2026 could be his last season in Formula One. However, looking at Lance Stroll's recent performances, it's hard to ignore the possibility that he might also be at risk. Stroll is currently the only driver bringing points to the team in 2025, but his performance has been far from stellar. There's no denying that Lance has a lot to prove if he wants to keep his seat, especially with his father, Lawrence Stroll, heavily invested in his career. The situation is complicated by the fact that Lawrence Stroll has shown a clear preference for building the team around his son. But if a world-class driver like Verstappen becomes available, it would be difficult for Aston Martin to turn down the opportunity. Max's ability to extract the maximum from any car would likely leave Stroll in a difficult position, especially since Max is known for pushing the car to its absolute limits. Meanwhile, Lance may not face the same level of scrutiny for underperforming, as his position is still somewhat protected by his father's influence. As the situation unfolds, it's clear that there is a lot at stake for both Max Verstappen and Aston Martin. The prospect of Verstappen joining forces with the Silverstone team has the potential to shake up the entire grid. With the backing of Honda and the expertise of Adrian Newey, Aston Martin could emerge as a major contender in the future, especially with Verstappen's unparalleled driving skills. But the question remains: will Max leave Red Bull for Aston Martin? And if so, will he be replacing Alonso or Stroll? These decisions will have a huge impact on the landscape of Formula One, and it's a story that we'll be following closely in the coming months. As the 2026 season looms on the horizon, one thing is certain: the F1 world is in for an exciting and unpredictable ride. What do you think? Will Max Verstappen make the move, or will Red Bull manage to keep him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen now to stay updated with all the latest F1 news. Max Verstappen's future with Red Bull is in serious doubt, and Aston Martin looks ready to take advantage of this shifting situation. The team from Silverstone has struggled throughout this season, but their eyes are firmly set on 2026, with high hopes riding on the upcoming changes. Rumors suggest that offers have already been extended to the four-time world champion, and with Red Bull's recent struggles, particularly in Bahrain, it's hard to see Verstappen passing up such an attractive offer. Could Aston Martin really challenge the top teams with Max Verstappen at the wheel? And more intriguingly, will Lawrence Stroll, the team's owner, be willing to part ways with his son, Lance Stroll, to make room for Max? The drama surrounding Verstappen's future reached a boiling point this weekend after an intense meeting within Red Bull. Verstappen's manager expressed serious frustration over the car's performance, and the team held an emergency meeting to address the situation. However, this doesn't mean Verstappen is guaranteed a better car. In fact, there's a growing concern that the issues with the RB21 are fundamental and can't be fixed with a few upgrades.